The light cuts a cold white line through the dark. The hum of studio lamps is the underscoring of an electrical storm. The voice sinks low, steady, like a mallet striking hardwood. One joke, and 20 years of a career can blow out like an overworked bulb. But tonight, we're not telling the story of the man who walked off stage. We're telling the story of those still standing under the rig, the ones who stayed. A title streaks across the screen, Jimmy Kimmel fired. Beneath it, smaller text, sharp as a thrown blade, collateral damage, the people who stay after the war. Images rush past, a river of tweets, Free Kimmel roaring through an ocean of emojis, tabloid front pages flashing breaking in blistering red, a backstage photo flaring with too much light. Catching the moment, a floor assistant drags a cable with trembling hands. The voice drops even lower. This is not a trial by mob. This is a hearing of conscience. The Daily Show logo appears, no longer friendly blue but steel blue, like a prosecutor's seal. In the gloom sit two chairs facing each other. One is empty, a moral vacancy. The other holds a thick sheaf of paper, an evidentiary file. From the far end of the room, a lav mic crackles like kindling. Tonight, the man who took that seat once called his rival a clown and called justice responsibility. And he will be asked to ask himself, loyal to whom? To a person? To a corporation? Or to the hands that built an entire show we've forgotten to name? The camera glides down a dark corridor and stops at a nameplate, Sean Hannity. The letters glow as if cut from a bomb casing. The voice, almost a whisper, if loyalty is a virtue, how much does it cost when the bills come due at month's end? The theme music is compressed to half volume, like someone trying to slow a racing heart. A blade of light pours across a polished wooden desk, skimming razor-sharp paper edges. This place, tonight, is not a talk show. It's a record. It's an audit of conscience. And the man holding the pen will be John Oliver, not to mock, but to count to 3, then ask the question no one wants to answer. The jib swoops from high to low, like a raptor diving when it spots prey stranded in an empty field. The Daily Show desk gleams with a long, cold highlight, smooth as a scalpel. The audience rows flicker. Spines are straight. It's so still you can hear a third camera op crack his knuckles. On the rear screen, not Jimmy Kimmel's face, not a timecode tag to a sentimental monologue, but mosaics, hands holding cue cards, a segment editor fixing every period and comma, a lighting tech squinting through a Fresnel lens with bloodshot eyes, a floor runner laying gaffer tape along the carpet edge so the APPAUSOSO sign doesn't peek out. Everything fast, then slow, then still. The theme cues in a half-beat late. Someone coughs. The lights freeze like a held breath. A thin beam slashes across the host's chair, and he walks out. John Oliver. No shrug, no unlocking smile. Just a nod, sufficient to count as hello. He lays a thick stack of paper on the desk. It lands with a low, solid thump, like dropping an appellate file. He looks up at the audience. Condensed, cool, not unfeeling. Left hand on the stack, right hand on the desk edge, the posture of a man ready to deliver a bill of indictment, but also a defense for faces outside the frame. The shot cuts to the guest chair, still empty. A body pack mic waits, its cable coiled like a story already outlined. All that's missing is the subject to step in, inhale, and if he dares tell the truth. The voice slides through like smoke. Tonight is not about one man losing a job. It's about 200 people at risk of losing their homes. An overlay lists writers, producers, segment researchers, stage managers, cue card crew, editors, lighting techs. Job titles pass by like a roll call from a war no one declared, to which everyone pays a tax of loss. John looks straight into the lens. We're talking about loyalty and refrigerators that need to be full. If there's any truth that matters tonight, it won't come from a punchline. It'll come from a question. Who pays the moral bill? He turns toward the wing. The light shifts, dropping a cold rectangle at stage edge. From the dark, a figure steps out, pitched slightly forward, steady stride. Sean Hannity. The applause doesn't erupt. It rolls in as a low swell, reaches half the shore and recedes. Hannity wears a dark suit, open collar, no tie, the bearing of a man used to monologue, less to dialogue. He extends a hand. John takes it a grip tighter than courtesy requires. Both smile enough for the cameras to capture polite. But the pressure says it all. There will be no velvet cushions tonight. John, thank you for coming. Hannity, when you said you wanted to talk about loyalty, I thought, at last, Hollywood remembers the word it forgot. Thanks for watching, John. Then let's start with reality. Not one late-night star, but about 200 people behind him. They come earlier, leave later, and go home last. He flips the first page. Tonight's question: what should they do, in your view? Hannity leans back, arms folded. I don't tell anyone what to do, but if you're asking about principle, if your boss has been wronged, you stand with your boss. That is loyalty. A beat, letting the words load with weight. A crew is a family. Families don't bail when the storm hits. John nods, as if pinning a quote to the wall. Family. He turns the page. I have a family too, hundreds of families behind that wall. He gestures backstage. Tonight we'll find out whether family-style loyalty pays the rent. His smile thins. The room cools by half a degree. The camera pushes tight on the guest chair. Behind Hannity, the words, The Daily Show, now resemble the first three letters of deposition. The rear screen fades, ceding the floor to the fight. It's only the opening move, and the string is already tuned to snapping point. John doesn't bother with the prelude. So specifically, if next week the network installs a new host in that time slot, what should the old crew do? Stay or leave? Hannity fires the round he loaded backstage. If they believe their boss was wronged, they should quit. Don't lend a hand to betrayal. A ripple moves through the audience. John leans in, voice measured like a physician taking a history. Do you expect the same if it happens to you? Purely hypothetical Fox suddenly fires you because you praised Kale. Quick, tight laughter, then hush. Do you expect your team to walk out en masse? Hannity doesn't blink. I would hope they do, but I wouldn't demand it. John. Why? I want today. Hannity. Because the choice is theirs, but loyalty is the measure. John sets down his pen. Then we're at the hard part. Choice with bills, kids, health insurance. He looks to camera. There's no golden parachute here. There's call time and deadline. Back to Hannity. When you say quit, did you factor in a bridge fund so they can live through 2 or 3 months of no work for loyalty? Hannity hesitates. I don't answer for their bank. I'm talking about principle. John nods. Then tonight we'll audit the cost of principle. Paper rustles raw, real, like a blade slicing stock. The rear screen blasts a montage. Hannity hammering, Hollywood elites, chirons, streaking bullies in late night, crowds roaring, a war drum mix. Then smash cut to a plain Excel, rent, health insurance, childcare, car payment, student loan. Total, 480. Month. The number stands there, cold as a concrete mile marker. John, you call them family. Then family has the right to ask, who pays this for the next 3 months if they quit for loyalty? Hannity, they can find other work. John, in an industry freezing hires over a decision they didn't make. Hannity shifts, voice trying to hold line. John, you're softening spines with sob stories. We're talking ethics. John, right. What ethic makes the less powerful pay for a war started by the more powerful? A low ooh rolls across the seats, not for a joke, but a precision cut. The camera frames Hannity tight. The backlights flare his collar. Every small move is magnified. John drops his voice. If loyalty equals sacrifice, who is the high priest worthy to order the rite? The star with exit routes or the floor assistant on a temp contract? The question hits the floor like a lead weight. They may love their former boss. They still have to feed their kids. Hannity presses his lips. Loyalty isn't always convenient. John. Exactly. And that's why it can't be a command issued by the person for whom it's most convenient to say. John taps a remote. The rear screen shows a writer's room. Whiteboard spidered with arrows, sticky notes like leaves, joke titles still embryonic. The voiceover murmurs, these writers don't have their own talk show. They have bills. John turns back. You say quit. On principle. I ask, which principle? If it's loyalty to a person, it devours loyalty to craft. If it's loyalty to the company, it devours loyalty to the audience. But loyalty to the truth, to the purpose of the show says, stay and do it right. Hannity's laugh is a slice. Staying is betrayal. John, betrayal of whom? The one who left? Or the audience still turning on at 11:35? Hannity, the audience can watch somewhere else. John, and those 200 can eat somewhere else? John tilts his head, no smile. Or do they eat your applause? The crowd laughs. Muted, the sound hits the ceiling and dies. John lays his pen along the desk's edge. You don't need to answer now. Answer with money. He raises a white envelope. The Responsible Loyalty Fund. How much will you donate to cover pay for those who quit at your urging? Hannity, that's not my responsibility. Abel Abisical discreed. John, so your responsibility is to order, and the cost is someone else's? No reply needed. The question is a marble released on a tilted table, rolling along the cracks to show the slope. The narration cools into cadence. When ethics are placed on the scale, who's nudging the needle? John clicks. 3 faces from another network's history fill the screen, empty chairs lined up like footprints of retreat. When those hot seats emptied over scandal, did you call for the entire network to resign in loyalty? Hannity's shoulders tuck. That was different. John, how? It was family. It was a front line. The seats were still warm. Hannity, they left for their own reasons. John, and the 200 tonight leave for whose reasons? The air hardens, like AC fog turning to glass. John leans forward. I'm not calling you a hypocrite. I'm saying you're using ethics as a lever to lift your side and press others down. He lowers his voice. You've made loyalty a prop that erases ordinary lives, people who don't have their own camera to argue back. Hannity taps a finger on the armrest. That's your framing. John, no, it's the bill framing the choice. He lifts the Excel page again. 480 appears. No blink, no shake. A verdict in digits. The room now is as quiet as a courtroom, waiting for the judge to return. John studies his guest. If you still say quit tonight, at least call it by its name. Make yourself collateral damage in a war you didn't start. John swivels to the lens. We've heard one definition of loyalty. Here's another. He gestures. A phone-recorded voice of a female coordinator, anonymous, plays on screen. I adore my old boss, but I've got mom's meds and my kids' tuition. I'll stay to keep the team from breaking. A male voice lighting tech. I'm leaving. Not a hero move. I just can't stomach feeling like a replacement. John nods after each, as if filing it away. 2 choices. Both hurt. Both right in their way. He returns to Hannity. You want to turn ethics into a binary loyal or traitor. Real life is a gray scale. It includes loyalty to family, to craft, to the audience, to oneself. Hannity growls. That gray scale is what's tearing this country apart. John, no. What tears it apart is people with microphones making people without microphones foot the bill for slogans. He angles his face, voice like a paper cut. If your loyalty doesn't come with a budget, don't force others to turn empty stomachs into your moral banner. An ooh pops from the back right. John wets his lips, drops his mic on the desk, and lifts it again, a tiny motion that makes a thunk like a gavel. Now the new host. He names the yet absent silhouette. When he arrives, you tell the crew to boycott. Will you look him in the eye and say, turn down the job of your life because we need a symbol? Hannity, honor is sometimes saying no. John, and cruelty is sometimes making someone else say no so you can say yes into a camera. The air congeals like stage fog at a rock show. John abruptly shifts tempo. Hypothetical 2. You're fired over kale, over anything. Your producers, writers, bookers, what do you want them to do? Hannity, I hope they leave. John, they'll call you. Sean, my kid's sick. My wife's due any day. Can I stay? What do you say? Hannity chokes half a beat. Do what you have to do. John nods. They're at Island. Loyalty becomes freedom of choice when the caller is your person. When they're someone else's, you label the same choice betrayal. Hannity, you're twisting words. John, I'm holding up a mirror. He clicks, and the screen displays the words, "The cost of virtue," with bullet points pulsing like a heartbeat. The first line is a harsh, immediate blow. Lost wages, a financial void stretching from 4 to 12 weeks. Immediately below is an even more terrifying consequence. Lost health insurance, turning every cough or fever from a loved one into a medical risk hanging over the entire family. Next is a long-term but equally devastating impact, a broken career chain. In a ruthless industry, voluntarily leaving means it will be exponentially harder to re-enter the production world later. And finally, the cold text serves as a reminder of the team's most vulnerable members, visa and labor fallout, a risk that could force international crew members to leave the country. Each line is a cut, transforming a moral choice into an inventory of unavoidable losses. You call that honor. They call it existential risk. John drops the card. I'm not telling them to stay or go. I'm saying, don't use someone else's mouth to chant your slogan. Hannity half rises, weighing a walk-off. The room doesn't blink. John leans in, lower. If loyalty is only beautiful when someone else pays, it's not loyalty. It's privilege. Hannity drops back like he took a body shot. After a beat, he says, "You make TV, John. You know the frame game. You just framed me as the villain. John, we don't need a villain tonight. We need a bill." A wind of murmurs rustles through the seats like air before a hard rain. Hannity dabs his brow. The lights turn a bead of sweat into a shard. He faces the cameras, voice louder. "This is an ambush. You want me to apologize for believing loyalty is a value." John's head tilts slightly. "I want you to price that value in dollars and weeks of unemployment." He pops the rear screen. Crew Relief Fund prototype. Fine print. "If you quit for ethics, let ethics have a budget." Laughter rolls, not gloating, but relief. John continues, "And here's scenarios that aren't tragedies." The screen lists: stay with conditions, publicly support the old host, refuse content that violates values, shield junior writers' slots, leave with a return lane, move as a group, negotiate severance support, arrange internal referrals to other shows, stay to transition, keep the machine running, train the new team for 4 weeks, then exit, don't let the engine seize. John, ethics aren't just a flag, they're engineering. How do you keep the less powerful from being crushed? Hannity growls, "You're turning morals into Excel." John, "Better than turning people into a footnote under one of your tweets." Hannity freezes. His hand searches for a grip that doesn't exist on the slick desk. For a breath, no one breathes. Then the tiniest chair creak wood under load. Hannity says, slow, "I don't like your TV, but one thing's right, the ones who stay deserve to be seen." John turns to the lens, his eyes soften half a degree, not warm, just less cold. Tonight's verdict isn't for the face on a poster, it's for the faces left off the poster. He drops his voice, each word a nail. Don't make the less powerful pay the bill for the ethics of the more powerful. You can adore your old boss and still stay because your kid needs milk. You can honor your craft and still leave because your limit is your own. Neither is betraying anyone unless someone with a microphone tells you so. He pauses. Beneath the desk, you can almost hear a clock chew seconds. Television likes heroes and villains, but on the production floor, most of us are survival engineers, swapping shifts, juggling calendars, splitting pay, keeping the team from cracking. He slides the paper stack closer. So if you have a platform, when you call for loyalty, please add the word budget. Otherwise, it's just poetry read to an empty stomach. A micro blackout, the blink of the whole room. When the lights return, John delivers the last line. If TV is still worth trusting, it's because of the hands that stay to flip the switch, trim the light, cut the lines, and keep the heartbeat of a show you thought had stopped. The score pulls down to a few low piano notes, hovering like mist. Hannity lifts his mic to speak, then sets it down. He doesn't storm off or slam the desk. He sits there, staring at the space between them, a single arm's length, wide as a river in flood. John says nothing more. He nods once, like a clerk closing a file box, and in that gesture lives the fatigue of a long day in a production office. The light above the guest chair drops half a stop, leaving a cold halo around the rim, a marker of a seat used, not erased. The boom rises, revealing the whole plant. A studio as factory cranes, cables, grids. Everything's still there, despite scandal, despite a new face on the poster. In a dark corner, the shadow of a stagehand slips by, pressing down a lifting strip of gaffer tape. Tiny move, saving the floor from a trip. Faint words appear at the edge of frame. The show goes on. The word show fades until only goes on remains. Not to deny the loss, to remind. The ones who stay aren't supporting cast. They're the gear shaft that keeps the motor from burning out. The applause doesn't thunder. It threads through rows like sound through cloth, mingling with the pop of unjacked cables and the rumble of rolling flight cases. Hannity glances around, gives a short nod. John slides his chair back and tucks his pen away. No theatrical bows. They just stand, like any crew clocking off. Cut to a string of post-broadcast frames. The clipped line, "Don't make the less powerful pay the moral bill," clears 1 million views in 6 hours. Comments split. Staying is betrayal edges out, staying is resilience. An anonymous writer posts a thread. "I chose to leave. I can't write laughs for something that hurts me." Right after, a video editor posts a photo of his kid's hand surgery bill. "I'm staying. I'll guard the content so we don't sell him out." A trade podcast hosts 3 guests. A labor lawyer, a line producer, a union rep. No consensus. 1. Collective is the shield. 2. Collective is the destination to reach it. Some must stay and bargain. 3. Don't demand heroes, demand clauses. Elsewhere, a rival channel rips John's speech, slaps on a club beat. Oliver defends Hollywood. Letters jiggle. Their second, lower view video interviews a stage manager who just resigned. "I'm not anti-Kimmel. I'm just tired." A small dinner in a small apartment. A researcher sets a takeout box on the table, calls her kid to eat. On the whiteboard on the fridge, shift days in bold, several squares with question marks. She stares at one a beat too long, washes her hands, sits back down. Tonight, staying means serving dinner on time. Quick cut. A night shift editor sends a CV at 2 a.m. Across town, an assistant script supervisor guides an intern down a dark hallway. "This corner's the ladder bay, keep it there so nobody trips." Aftermath isn't a storm. It's drizzle. It seeps into life as shift swaps, leave forms, account balances. And somewhere under a comment section wrapped in partisan duct tape, a pinned note reads, "Thanks for talking about us." Back to black with white, minimal type. 4 more piano notes, held like a deep breath. The voice is warmer now, less steel, not from weakness, but because we've reached touchdown. If you think TV is better when it doesn't turn staffers into target dummies for culture wars, do something small but real. Share this. Support local crew relief funds. Sign petitions for fair contracts. If you've ever had to stay or leave, tell us below what you chose and why. Don't let the algorithm drown out the voices off poster. And if you want more conversations inconvenient to the powerful, subscribe, like, share. Not for a silver plaque for the vote each view casts, for a kind of television that values the ones who stay. The final line carves itself like woodcut. Don't make the weak pay for the ethics of the strong. It fades, leaving the faint lamp hum the sound of a studio with the main cams off but the safety lights on. Because tomorrow, there's another call time. Because despite the scandal, it goes on, powered by people whose names you may forget, who never forget to flip the switch on time. Sean Hannity has left the stage, but the most important questions remain. This confrontation was never truly about Kimmel or Hannity. It was about the hundreds backstage whose lives and livelihoods now hang in suspension. And now we want to hear from you. The debate doesn't end when the cameras cut. If you were on Kimmel's team, what would you do? Choose loyalty and face unemployment, or stay and keep the job? There are no easy answers. Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe we must look at the collateral damage of these culture wars, hit like, share this video. Because the stories of those who stay are the stories we usually forget. To catch more unapologetic analysis, subscribe and ring the bell, because we believe journalism's job is to question every side. Thank you for watching, and remember, in the battles of giants, it's often ordinary people who bear the wounds.